Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Preeti Kaur. Coming up in the next 1 hour, India's aviation sector to get a big boost. Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the President of the Government of Spain, Pedro Sanchez, to inaugurate C-295 aircraft plant in Gujarat's Vadodara. Egypt proposes initial 2-day ceasefire in Gaza with limited hostage prisoner exchange, aims for complete ceasefire. As the US presidential race enters its final stretch, Harris campaigns in Philadelphia, Trump holds rally at Madison Square Garden. Japan's ruling LDP loses majority in the general polls. Prime Minister Ishiba terms verdict a severe judgment as smaller parties hold key to the future government. President of Government of Spain, Pedro Sanchez, arrived in the West Indian city of Vadodara early on Monday on a 3-day visit to India. Now, this is the first visit of the President of Government of Spain, Pedro Sanchez, to India. During his visit, the President of the Government of Spain will be holding delegation-level talks with Prime Minister Narendra Modi. The visit is taking place after 18 years. Earlier, Prime Minister Narendra Modi and President of the Government of Spain, Pedro Sanchez, have met several times on the sidelines of multilateral meetings. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the President of the Government of Spain, Pedro Sanchez, will jointly inaugurate the Tata Aircraft Complex for manufacturing C-295 aircraft at Tata Advanced Systems Limited campus. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, along with the President of the Government of Spain, Pedro Sanchez, will jointly inaugurate the Tata Aircraft Complex for manufacturing C-295 aircraft at Tata Advanced Systems Limited campus. A total of 56 aircraft are contracted to be procured under the C-295 program. 16 are being delivered directly by Airbus from Spain, and remaining 40 are to be made in India. Tata Advanced Systems Limited is responsible for making of the 40 C-295 aircraft in India. Now, this facility will be the first private sector final assembly line for military aircraft in India. It will involve the full development of a complete ecosystem from manufacturing to assembling, testing and qualification to delivery and maintenance of the complete life cycle of the aircraft. The C-295 is a versatile new generation tactical airlift aircraft with a payload capacity of 9.5 tons. It is specialized in air transport missions under all types of weather conditions, both during day and night. Apart from Tata's, leading defense public sector units such as Bharat Electronics Limited and Bharat Dynamics Limited, as well as private micro, small and medium enterprises will contribute to this program. Earlier in October 2022, Prime Minister had laid the foundation stone for Vadodara final assembly line. The Ministry of Defence in September 2021 signed a 21,935 crore rupees contract with Airbus Defence and Space SA Spain for supply of 56 aircraft. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi will inaugurate and lay the foundation stone of projects worth around 49 billion rupees at West India's Amreli. Prime Minister will inaugurate and lay the foundation stone for various road projects worth more than 28 billion rupees. Prime Minister Modi will dedicate to the nation Bhuj-Nalia rail gauge conversion project. This extensive project features 24 major bridges, 254 minor bridges, 3 road overbridges and 30 road underbridges. Prime Minister will also lay the foundation stone for tourism-related development initiatives, which include transforming the Karli Recharge Reservoir at Mokar Sagar in Porbandar district into a world-class sustainable eco-tourism destination, among others. Our correspondent Meghna Dev joins us from Vadodara. Meghna, it is a very important day there in Vadodara. The Prime Minister and the visiting dignitary will together inaugurate. Meghna, are you there with us? Yes. Both of them will inaugurate the important facility of C-295. We've given a broad outline of how crucial is it, but further elaborate for us how far it further strengthen the India-Spain ties, and also what does it mean for the progress India has made in the aviation sector.
Absolutely, and when we see that this is going to be India's first such manufacturing in the aviation sector, and when we also see that Airbus Spain is involved for the manufacturing ahead, 16 out of the 56 aircraft that were to be that the supply for the contract for which was made between Ministry of Defence and Airbus Defence and Space Spain. 56 aircraft C-295 were to be supplied to India. 16 were to be brought in flyaway condition to India, and 40 are to be manufactured in India. Now, out of those 16 which were to be brought from Spain, already quite a number of aircraft have arrived here, and 6 C-295 are already in, have been inducted in the 11th Squadron of the Indian Air Force in Vadodara. Now, we also see that the 40 C-295 aircraft that are to be manufactured here at this TASL facility, which is a Tata Advanced System Limited facility. The first is expected to come out by 2026, and the remaining 39 are expected to come out by 2031. So we definitely see that in the aviation sector, this is going to be a very important breakthrough that India is making with this FAL inauguration, the assembly line inauguration, parts of which majorly parts of which will also be made in India. Also importantly, one aspect is that this will add to the fleet, the transport fleet of the Indian Air Force. This aircraft will be able to help for tactical missions. It's a very versatile aircraft. Besides that, it will stand very firm as a strong example of what a self-reliant India mission is, what the Make in India mission is. Having said that, I am currently at the Lakshmi Vilas Palace. Behind me, you will be able to see this heritage building, and this building is the place where Prime Minister Narendra Modi and President of the Government of Spain, Pedro Sanchez, will be holding delegation level talks. We know that the trade relationship between the two countries are robust and growing. The bilateral trade is standing at $9.9 billion in 2023. India's exports are around 7 billion and imports are around $2 billion. We also see that Spain is the 16th largest investor in India, and when we are also talking about the number of companies, the number of Spanish companies that are Indian companies that are in Spain are over 200, and around 80 Indian companies are there in Spain. So now, mostly when we're talking about the companies which are working here in India are in the metallurgical sector, are in the highways, tunnels, metros, all of that. But the Indian companies which are working in Spain are mostly in the IT sector. So definitely a very important time for the kind of review for the bilateral ties, because this visit, a visit of the President of the Government of Spain is coming after 18 years. And for President Sanchez, this is his first visit to India. So it definitely is an important visit. We will be able to see a few MOUs also being signed. We'll have to wait for the meetings, the delegation level talks to take place here at the Lakshmi Vilas Palace in Vadodara.
Right.
And we'll be able to divulge in more details about the MOUs and the delegation level talks that will be taking place today.
All right, MOUs will also be signed. Both the leaders will also be holding bilateral talks. Meghna, you also told us about the trade ties, strong trade ties between the two countries. Get us more as to what are the other areas through which the partnership could further be strengthened. Both the leaders will be holding bilateral discussions. MOUs will be signed. Elaborate more on this.
Very importantly, IT sector is one of the most promising sectors. We have agri-tech, biotech. So most of the cooperation, if we see, is expected to happen in the tech sector. Besides that, when we are actually seeing the pharmaceutical sector, because India's export to Spain also consists about a lot of pharmaceuticals. India's exports also are in the logistics sector. So that is a very important aspect that is between medicines, agri-tech, biotech. These are some of the important aspects when we are talking about the relationship, when we are talking about the trade. We are also actually seeing that the diaspora, Indian diaspora in Spain, is about 75,000 strong. So people are there in Madrid, in Canary Islands, these places. Mostly the Indian diaspora is there. They are also working there in different sectors. So when we are talking about this relationship, this bilateral cooperation, it is an important time to actually take stock of the cooperation, probably get in new areas of cooperation. We have been seeing that India has been time and again pushing for more tech-based cooperation with different countries, especially when we are talking about the European Union. We are also talking about the European Union. We are talking about FTA with the European Union. A lot of things are already in the pipeline. But when we actually see the tourism sector is important, we will be able to see that President Sanchez will be meeting with the film industry in Mumbai. After Vadodara, his next leg of the visit is in Mumbai. So he will be meeting people from the film industry. We know that Spain is one of important destinations for shooting for Bollywood films, Indian films. So that is going to be an important aspect. Probably it will give more, we can say it will give more acceleration to what already existing investments are there in the film industry sector. People going for filmmaking in Spain. Besides that, he's meeting industrialists. He's also meeting think tanks in Mumbai. So when we actually see, it's not just government to government level talks that will be taking place here in Vadodara, but the next leg of President Sanchez's visit will also encapsulate him meeting think tanks, meeting industry leaders, meeting the people from the film industry. So tourism and culture and Bollywood and film industry will also be one important part of what this visit of the President of the government of Spain will encapsulate.
All right, Meghna, we'll leave it here. We'll come back to you again during the day. Thank you so much for joining in with those details. And you're watching DD India News Hour. We're heading for a short break. But after the break, aiming to further strengthen the India-Singapore strategic partnership, the sea phase of the 31st edition of Singapore-India Maritime bilateral exercise to be conducted on Monday. In the midst of festive season, Delhiites continue to breathe in toxic air as the air quality index turns severe in many areas. It's festivities galore as people make elaborate preparations to usher in the festival of lights.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
back after the break. You're watching DD India News Hour. India's National Disaster Management Authority is celebrating its 20th Formation Day today. India's Home Minister Amit Shah will attend the inaugural ceremony of the event. The theme of this year's Formation Day is empowering communities for disaster risk reduction through awareness for behavioral change. India is committed to implement inclusive and proactive actions to mitigate the impact of disasters in line with Prime Minister Narendra Modi's 10-point agenda for disaster risk reduction strategies. At least 15 flights operated by Indigo received security-related alerts on Sunday, following which the airline resorted to necessary precautions while being in touch with the relevant authorities. The airline, in a press statement, said, in line with all safety protocols, it is taking all necessary precautions. It also expressed regret for any inconvenience caused to the customers. Earlier on October 24th, a total of 20 domestic and international flights of Indigo Airlines received security-related warnings. India's Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology has earlier emphasized that social media intermediaries must comply with the IT Act 2000, the IT Rules 2021 and the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita 2023. These platforms are required to promptly remove unlawful content to maintain public order and security. The sea phase of the 31st edition of the Singapore-India Maritime bilateral exercise will be conducted on Monday. Singapore Navy ship RSS Tenacious with embarked helicopter is taking part in the bilateral drills since 23rd October. The exercise was conducted in two phases, the harbour phase of Visakhapatnam on the east coast and the sea phase, which begins today in the Bay of Bengal. This year's edition aims to further strengthen the strategic partnership between India and Singapore by enhancing interoperability, improving maritime domain awareness and fostering cooperation to address common maritime challenges. The sea phase will witness advanced naval drills, including live weapon firings, anti-submarine warfare training, anti-surface and anti-air operations, seamanship evolutions and tactical maneuvers. The Indian Meteorological Department has predicted rainfall accompanied with thunderstorm and lightning at isolated places over southern and western states after the retreat of southwest monsoon, which brought heavy rains to the subcontinent. Occurrence of cyclone Dana, which largely affected Odisha and Gangetic West Bengal. IMD has now assured that there will be no significant weather activity likely over any part of the country during the next 1 week. IMD said that during the past 24 hours, heavy to very heavy rainfall at isolated places over Kerala, Lakshadweep and sub-Himalayan West Bengal was recorded. The quality of air has worsened in the national capital in the past 24 hours after a short breather for 2 days, causing problems to the people who are already reeling with respiratory disorders. The air quality index in Delhi was recorded at 356 index value, which is marked under the very poor category that is likely to be in the same category till October 30th. Vehicular emissions will remain the top contributor to Delhi's pollution over the next 2 days, though the second stage of Graded Response Action Plan, that is GRAP, was implemented from October 22nd amid the worsening air quality. International Animation Day is observed on October 28th every year. Launched in 2002 by the International Animated Film Association, a part of UNESCO, this day is all about inspiring fresh talent and celebrating the world of animation. In this regard, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, during the 115th episode of Man Ki Baat program, urged people to resolve to make India a global animation powerhouse. Talking about self-resilience, Prime Minister called upon people to share examples of innovation and Atmanirbhar Bharat or self-reliant India on social media.
The country is moving rapidly towards becoming self-reliant in every sector. New India is strongly facing every challenge, riding on the new slogan of Atmanirbhar Bharat or self-reliant India. Now every citizen of the country is looking at every challenge in the form of opportunity and achieving new milestones through innovation. Animation is one such sector where the country is rapidly moving ahead through the use of new technology. Due to the rapid expansion of gaming space, Indian games are gaining popularity all over the world. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi, during the 115th episode of Mann Ki Baat program, urged people to resolve to make India a global animation powerhouse.
आज हमारे युवा ओरिजिनल इंडियन कंटेंट जिसमें हमारी संस्कृति की झलक होती है वो तैयार कर रहे हैं। इन्हें दुनिया भर में देखा जा रहा है। एनिमेशन सेक्टर आज एक ऐसी इंडस्ट्री का रूप ले चुका है कि जो दूसरी इंडस्ट्रीज को ताकत दे रहा है। जैसे इन दिनों वीआर टूरिज्म बहुत फेमस हो रहा है। इसलिए मैं भारत के युवाओं से कहूंगा, अपनी क्रिएटिविटी को विस्तार दे। क्या पता दुनिया का अगला सुपरहिट एनिमेशन आपके कंप्यूटर से निकले। आइए हम भारत को ग्लोबल एनिमेशन पावर हाउस बनाने का संकल्प लें।
Prime Minister underlined that India is doing wonders in every sector after becoming self-reliant. Prime Minister urged people to share examples of innovations and Atmanirbhar Bharat on social media. He asked them to shop during this festive season with the mantra of vocal for local. Bureau Report, DD India.
In the spirit of Diwali, a heartwarming initiative by the Blind Relief Association in New Delhi is showing how true light shines from within. Their Diwali Mela offers more than just festive shopping. It is an inspiration showcasing self-reliance and talent displayed by visually impaired students. Here's a report by DD India's correspondent Kriti Vadodara.
From hand-painted candles to eco-friendly bags, pouches and delicate paper mache items, every product at this festive market is crafted by visually impaired students. These items reflect their skill, dedication and creativity while also highlighting how art has empowered these individuals.
I should say that it is not Blind Relief's Mela, it is entire Delhi's Mela. The main objective is to show the capabilities of the persons whom we train. And one of the most important product or one of the prominent product is the candles, and which is associated with Diwali. What better product could be? And over the year, the range of products that our trainees make has increased substantially.
The fair has also set up special food counters where the visually impaired students serve a range of Diwali treats. This involvement goes beyond creating items here. They gain confidence and independence, running their own food stalls with a sense of pride and accomplishment.
हमने मेले की तैयारी की, क्या क्या हमें मेले पे देना है, फिर हमने वो सब कुछ तैयार किया। जैसे सैंडविच है, बर्गर है, ओपन और क्या कहते हैं मोमोज हैं, पनीर वाले, वेज वाले, कप नूडल्स हैं, और हमने चॉकलेट खुद से बनाई थी, कुकीज़ भी अपने आप से बना कर तैयार की थी।
हमने बनाए पेपर हैंड बैग, एनवलप और उसका नाम है बिग बैग। जो पेपर का जो सारा आइटम है वो हम बनाते हैं।
मैम मेले पे हम लोगों ने किया पेपर बैग गिफ्ट के लिए, कैमस बैग और हमने 19 कार्ड बनाए हमने। मुझे बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है। मेले की तैयारी होने के बाद हमने यहाँ पर सेल भी कर रहे हैं। मुझे बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है जैसे कि हम यहाँ पर सेल कर रहे हैं। मुझे लग रहा है कि हम कोई बिजनेस कर रहे हैं।
मैंने जिप पाउच बनाया, पोटली बैग बनाया और इंट्रोएटिव वाले बैग भी बनाया, प्रिंटेड वाले भी बैग बनाया। हमको 1 महीना हो गया वो मेला लगाते हुए। मुझे अच्छा लग रहा है कि ब्लाइंड लोगों की चीज़ दुनिया भर की लोगों पे जा रही है।
Another highlight of this Diwali Mela is the massage booth where trained visually impaired individuals are providing massages. This opportunity not only strengthens their self-reliance but also builds their professional skills, promoting financial independence in a unique hands-on way.
This Diwali Mela of Blind Relief Association here at New Delhi is not just a festive market, rather it's a beacon of hope, inclusivity and of course empowerment. So this festive season, let us all celebrate the spirit of Diwali with a noble cause. With camera person Yogesh, I am Kriti Vadodara reporting from New Delhi for DD India.
And now we take a look at other stories making it to the headlines from across India. The Uttar Pradesh government is all set to host its 8th Deep Utsav in Ayodhya this year, as preparations are underway for the first Deepavali at the newly built Sri Ram Janmabhoomi temple. It aims to create a new world record this Diwali by lighting 28 lakh lamps along the banks of the Saryu River, while special eco-friendly lamps will illuminate the Ram temple. Vadodara's Baps Swaminarayan Temple celebrated Diwali with a grand Maha Aarti featuring 5,000 oil lamps. The vibrant event, symbolizing light's victory over darkness, reflects Diwali's cultural richness. Thousands of devotees gathered, uniting in this spirited celebration. Demands of idols of Goddess Lakshmi and Lord Ganesh have increased ahead of Diwali. People install idols of Goddess Lakshmi and Lord Ganesha and perform rituals on Diwali. Now, these idols remain in the house throughout the year and new ones are brought for worship the following year. Key Delhi landmarks, including Rashtrapati Bhavan and India Gate, shine in red to highlight dyslexia awareness. This annual October campaign, part of International Dyslexia Awareness Month, supports the Go Red initiative. The effort aims to reduce stigma and foster understanding about dyslexia. You're watching DD India News Hour. We're heading for a short break, but after the break, political fever at its peak in the US ahead of the November 5th presidential election. As the nation faces severe energy crisis, Ecuador's National Assembly approved a bill seeking to expand direct private investment in the electricity sector. Tourism-dependent Spain protests over tourism this year in Barcelona as tourist flats push up the local prices.
Welcome to Rajasthan, the celebration of India. Rajasthan treats you with its many shades and values. That echoes the idea of India in its philosophy of Atithi Devo Bhava.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India News Hour. A quick relook at the top stories now. India's aviation sector to get a big boost. Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the President of the Government of Spain, Pedro Sanchez, to inaugurate the C-295 aircraft plant in Gujarat's Vadodara. Egypt proposes initial two-day ceasefire in Gaza with limited hostage prisoner exchange, aims for complete ceasefire. As the US presidential race enters its final stretch, Harris campaigns in Philadelphia, Trump holds rally at Madison Square Garden. Japan's ruling LDP loses majority in the general polls. Prime Minister Ishiba terms verdict a severe judgment as smaller parties hold key to future government. Let's get you more on the West Asia crisis now. Egypt has proposed an initial 2-day ceasefire in Gaza to exchange 4 Israeli hostages of Hamas for Palestinian prisoners after more than a year of conflict between Israel and Hamas. Egypt's President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi made the announcement on Sunday as efforts to defuse conflict in West Asia resumed in Qatar with the directors of CIA and also Israeli intelligence agency, Mossad's chief David Barnea. Egypt, alongside Qatar and the United States, has for months been mediating indirect talks with little success. Israel has said that the conflict cannot end until Hamas has been wiped out as a military force and governing entity in Gaza. It is believed that Sinwar had been a key obstacle to a deal. At a news conference in Cairo, Sisi also said that talks should resume within 10 days of implementing the temporary ceasefire in efforts to reach a permanent one, though he did not say whether the plan had been formally presented to either Israel or Hamas.
In Egypt, during the past few days, efforts have been made to move the situation towards a 2-day ceasefire during which 4 hostages would be exchanged for some prisoners held in Israeli jails. Then, over the next 10 days, negotiations would proceed to complete measures in the area or to reach a full ceasefire and allow aid to enter. We affirm that our brothers in Gaza Strip are facing an extremely difficult siege, reaching the point of starvation, and it is crucial that aid enters as quickly as possible.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said that Israel fulfilled its promise to retaliate against Iranian attacks on the cities. He was addressing a memorial ceremony for soldiers who were killed during and after the Hamas-led terrorist attack on Israeli communities on October 7th last year. Israel launched the strikes in retaliation for the October 1st attack by Iran, which fired about 200 missiles at Israel. There has been public and diplomatic pressure on Netanyahu to do more to strike a deal to secure the release of the remaining captives held in Gaza. Netanyahu said that Israel hit hard Iran's ability to defend itself and to produce missiles.
In the early morning hours of Saturday, we fulfilled our promise. The Air Force attacked throughout Iran. We hit hard Iran's defense capabilities and its ability to produce missiles that are aimed at us. The attack in Iran was precise and powerful and achieved all of its objectives.
Amid the ceasefire talks, conflict in West Asia rages on. Heavy fighting in Lebanon between Israeli forces and Iran-backed Hezbollah continued on Sunday, which sharply intensified over the recent weeks. In the latest, Israeli strikes reduced buildings in the southern suburbs of Beirut to rubble on early Sunday. Also, Israel launched its campaign in Lebanon a month ago, saying it was targeting the heavily armed Iran-backed Hezbollah group to secure the return home of tens of thousands of Israelis evacuated from the north due to cross-border rocket attacks. Violence intensified in recent weeks. All right, our correspondent Amit Mukherjee is joining us from New Delhi. Amit, good morning. Now, we've told our viewers the efforts that have been made by various countries to facilitate a ceasefire between Hamas and Israel. At the same time, Israel has, Egypt has also proposed a 2-day ceasefire. Get us the latest on the status of the ceasefire negotiations.
Well, Preeti, some rays of hope now eventually emerging from, West Asia, and it seems that the ceasefire talks, which have been on for a long time, is finally, being worked out. And negotiators and, people who have been involved in this conflict are coming across a table, sitting across a table, and they have finally decided to, work out the details, how the ceasefire is going to work out. Now, if you look at, the chain of events, U.S. has always been pressing for it. In fact, Antony Blinken, the U.S. Secretary of State, has been in the Middle East for the past 1 week, and he has been talking to various people who have been involved in the negotiations, whether it's Doha, whether it's Cairo, and finally some ray of hope, because we have seen a pause as far as the fighting is concerned. Of course, Israel is still, on with its kind of planned assault against Hezbollah because, they have seen a lot of, they still have a lot of capabilities, which Israel now says that it should be put to an end, and they are looking at a long-term, sort of a rest in the region. So while assault against the Hezbollah is still on, dismantling its financial capabilities, its financial network, and also its assets, at the same time, the ceasefire talks have also begun. In fact, if you also look at Iran, it has exercised considerable amount of restraint after the 100 Israeli jets crammed across, into the Iranian territory, destroyed all those, assets which were involved in launching attack against Israel on October 1st. And now it seems that there has been a pause, and which is a good thing as far as West Asia is concerned. Some ray of hope as far as, return of peace is concerned. So things are moving, it seems, in a positive direction. Preeti?
All right, things are moving in the positive direction. Amit, how do you see the days ahead pan out? Because Israel still, talks of eliminating the threats to its regional security. At the same time, there is also the concern of getting back the hostages. Get us more as to how is Israel positioned in the midst of this crisis?
Preeti, that's exactly what I said. Even the slightest of threats which Israel is perceiving now, it's from the Lebanese territories,
right,
by the Hezbollah operators, which is why it's still on with the assault, and it's kind of dismantling a lot of launch pads and operative sites of the Hezbollah right now. But as far as Gaza is concerned, it seems that Israel has kind of paused, the major assault right now, and. But of course, the patrolling continues in Gaza, in northern Gaza, and in fact, about 30 people have also been detained, who the Israeli, the forces are questioning. And also, if the present situation continues, the kind of pause we have seen in the last 72 hours, especially if we look at the conflict between Iran and Israel, I would say things would look brighter in the next few days, unless and until something really major really happens, which kind of disturbs and derails this ongoing peace talk, which has begun finally after a 2-month pause in the West Asian region.
All right, Amit, we'll leave it here. Thank you so much for joining in with those details. And from West Asia, we now turn focus to the US elections. Just 9 days away from the US presidential elections on November 5th, both Democratic and Republican rivals verbally pounced on each other to score their points and convince voters in their favor. But they also faced flack from protesters on the rally sites. The Democratic candidate and US Vice President Kamala Harris addressed a rally in Philadelphia. Before the cheering crowd, she showed confidence in her voice and tried to convince the electorate to vote for her or regret for the next 4 years.
We will win. We will win. We will win. Donald Trump, who spends full time looking in the mirror, focused on himself.
However, some protesters also gathered at her rally site and raised slogans. They accused her for ignoring the Palestinian concerns amid ongoing conflict between Hamas and Israel. But Harris tried to address their concerns too.
I want to talk about Gaza for a minute, okay? We can and we must seize this opportunity to end this war and bring the hostages home.
Republican candidate and former US President Donald Trump, on the other side, seemed buoyed with slight rise in his popularity in a recent survey. In a rally at Madison Square Garden in New York, Trump made scathing attack on his rival Kamala Harris. He sharpened his attack on Harris for non-performance during the last 4 years. Taking swipe at his rival, he asked voters to reject the Democratic candidate.
Next Tuesday, you have to stand up and you have to tell Kamala Harris that you've done a terrible job, that crooked Joe Biden has done a terrible job. You've destroyed our country. We're not going to take it anymore. Kamala, you're fired. Get out. Get out. You're fired.
Shubhendu Ghosh joins us from Miami. Shubhendu, hi. Just a while back, we showed the war of words between both the contenders. You're there in Miami. Tell us, how is the election fever, the political fever gripping up the U.S.? It's just 9 days before the U.S., the big election day.
Absolutely, Preeti. Good morning. The fight is getting as intense as it can be. Just 9 days to go for the big day. Although remember that the early voting has been on. Millions of Americans have already, in a way, chosen who their president is going to be. We don't know what their choice is. Still, of course, all the votes are counted together. Now, we have to see that the choice of venue for Donald Trump and Kamala Harris, for the speech aside, we heard the speech and the highlights of it. But very significant as far as symbolism is concerned. Let's talk about Donald Trump first. He chooses New York. Now, New York is not one of the swing states. It is, in fact, traditionally a blue state. It's a Democrat stronghold. But he goes to New York and talks about the issue of illegal immigration. Illegal immigration is a serious challenge in United States. Some 14% of the population in America is that of immigrants. Not all of them are illegal, but a significant percentage is. And New York is one of the states which has had to face the possibly the worst burden of immigrants, especially what we saw in 2022, immigrants coming in from Latin America, some 200,000 immigrants in New York. So Donald Trump bombasting in New York about illegal immigrants in Democrat heartland could have serious implications. Let's turn to Philadelphia and Kamala Harris's choice of people she engages with. Besides the address, she goes to a barber shop, she goes to a restaurant, she goes to a library. Important symbolism of working class population, of middle class. That is the class she thinks is going to rally behind her as far as her potential journey to White House is concerned. So in these final days of the electioneering, Preeti, we see both candidates really cashing on their strengths and pushing in the manner that they can in order to get the best of both the states where their strengths lies, but also areas where they could garner some more support. Preeti?
All right. Also, Shubhendu, you're there in Miami, Florida. Now, Florida at one time was was the most important swing state. How do you see the role of the swing states in these elections, given the fact that early voting has already taken place in some states?
That's right, Preeti. We're connecting to you from Miami in Florida. Now, Florida, you rightly mentioned, used to be a swing state. Now, swing states are not permanent in nature. With every series, decades, we see the nature of the states change. Some become swing states, some become red or blue. So Florida has, in the past couple of elections, we've seen it transform into a strong Republican stronghold. It's a red state by that logic. Now, it's important to note that Kamala Harris, for all the campaigning that she's done, she's yet to come to Florida to campaign. Now, that is also a concern for a lot of supporters of Democrats in the state. In these last days, of course, one does not expect the leaders to go to the state where they don't have a chance to win. Remember, it is the electoral votes that counts, not the popular vote. So in that sense, Kamala Harris is putting all her energy into the swing states, because that would determine eventually, the experts say, who's going to make it to the White House. But still, an important state, Florida, is still waiting to see Kamala Harris. Her husband, in fact, a couple of days back, had campaigned and had spoken on her behalf to say that she's working hard, she carries forward the values of America, but Vice President herself has not made her presence felt in Florida. Preeti?
All right, Shubhendu, we'll leave it here. Thank you so much for joining in with those details. And now we turn focus to Japan elections. Japan's ruling Liberal Democratic Party and its coalition partner has lost their majority in the House of Representatives election. Its worst results for over a decade now. Provisional election results showed opposition parties secured more than half the seats in the lower house, with 22 seats left to declare. The LDP and its coalition partner had gained 208 seats to the opposition's 235. A party needs a majority of 233 seats in the lower house of parliament to govern alone. The election was called by the LDP's new leader, Shigeru Ishiba, 3 days after he was selected as the new leader, before he had been officially sworn in as the Prime Minister. Ishiba said he would wait until the final results before considering potential coalitions or other power-sharing deals. While Japan's former Prime Minister and leader of the Constitutional Democratic Party, Yoshihiko Noda, hails a great achievement by his party.
The final result has not come out yet, but it's been a tough ride until now. I did have a feeling that it would be a very tough race in the middle of our campaigning. We are receiving severe judgment. Voters express their strong desire for the LDP to do some reflection and become a party that will act in line with the people's will.
I think a change of government is the biggest political reform. If there is an opportunity, other parties will sincerely respond after the election results. We will think about how to take action in the special diet session and battle in the upper house election.
All right, Anil Thomas joins us from New Delhi. Anil, good morning. Now, this is a big blow to Japan's new Prime Minister, Ishiba, and also the Japan's ruling party, LDP, has suffered a massive loss. Help us understand what led to this loss. How do you analyze this?
Well, good morning, Preeti. Well, very much on expected lines. I would say it's a state of flux that Japan is in at this point of time because, you have close to 30 days now to form a government. And looking at the opposition party that's managed to get 148 seats, that's the Constitutional Democratic Party. It's a great achievement that they have managed to do. Look at the magic number of 233 that's needed to form the government. That looks unlikely even for the opposition to do it. That both parties have. Let's look at the coalition partner and the LDP government that is there. You put that numbers together, you've got close to 215 seats. So you are almost, I think, 22. You're less than 30 seats away from forming a majority to stake claim to form the government. In that scenario, it still leaves, the LDP with a very much likely option of forming the government. The opposition has done its bit of, getting 148 seats there, a jump of almost 52 seats that they have done with the pure numbers. But in terms of calling an upset, I think it's still too early days. 30 days is what is legally allowed there for all the political parties to come together to look at options on how somebody can stake to form a government. I think that surely will be explored. There are 2-3 regional, 2-3. But how to them all along be a big...
Anil, I'll interrupt you here. There is a disruption in your audio. We'll try getting back again to you. But meanwhile, we'll turn focus to other updates which we are tracking at this hour. Georgian president called on people to take to the streets to protest the results of disputed parliamentary election, which the ruling party had won. The Georgian Dream Party clinched nearly 54% of the vote as opposition parties contested the result and vote monitors reported significant violations. Georgian Dream, now headed for a fourth term in office, will take 89 seats in parliament, with 4 pro-Western opposition parties receiving 61 seats in total. Meanwhile, European Council President has pushed for a swift and transparent investigation of alleged irregularities during the elections in Georgia. Charles Michel said that he would put the topic on the agenda of an EU summit in November. He also called on the Georgian leadership to demonstrate its firm commitment to the country's path to the EU. Georgia's ruling party won nearly 54% of the vote in Saturday's parliamentary election as opposition parties disputed the result and vote monitors reported significant violations. But the incumbent Prime Minister has rejected accusations of vote rigging after his Georgian Dream Party won the election. In Uruguay, voting stations closed on Sunday in a presidential election race between moderates following a smooth day of voting. Early exit polls suggest the center-left opposition candidate Yamandu Ossi is headed for his conservative rival Alvaro Delgado. Behind them was young social media savvy conservative Andres Ojeda, who has previously pledged to support Delgado to prevent the left from returning to power if eventually knocked out. Bulgaria's centre-right GER party was in the lead after a parliamentary election on Sunday, but it will have to seek a coalition partner to form the government. Polls show that the party winning 26.4% of the votes, while reformist We Continue the Change was seen coming second with 40.9% of the votes. The ultra-nationalist Revival Party was set to come third with 12.9% of the vote. In Lithuania, the opposition Social Democrats took an early lead in the second round of parliamentary election, with voters focusing on concerns over cost of living and potential threats from neighboring Russia. Official government data showed the centre-left grouping leading with 33 seats after 64% of the vote was counted in the first round, ahead of the ruling Homeland Union Party. Ecuador's National Assembly on Sunday approved a bill proposed by President Daniel Noboa that seeks to expand direct private investment in the electricity sector as the nation faces a severe energy crisis with power outages of up to 14 hours a day. The bill sought to permit private investment in projects generating up to 100 megawatt from the current allowance of 10. Ecuador's worst drought in over 60 years has plunged a hydropower-dependent country into an energy crisis as diminished reservoirs leave hydroelectric dams offline, pushing the government to impose power cuts to limit the strain on electricity supplies. People living in Spain's San Sebastian marched on Sunday against excessive tourism and called for more affordable housing. Raising slogans, demonstrators called for a change in the tourism model, arguing that tourist flats push up the local prices. Tourism-dependent Spain has seen a series of protests against over-tourism this year in Barcelona and other popular holiday destinations like Mallorca and Malaga. Some Spanish cities have already announced plans to ban short-term rentals, including Barcelona, which plans to scrap licenses for tourist rentals by 2028. Let's turn focus to business updates now. The yen touched a 3-month low on Monday as Japan's Liberal Democratic Party lost its majority in the lower house, leaving no party with a clear mandate. The uncertainty sent the yen currency to a 3-month low as investors and analysts prepared for days of political wrangling to form a government. On the dollar front, the yen hit its weakest since late July at 153.3 in early morning trade, and it touched the same milestone at 165.36 to the euro. Boeing is set to launch as early as Monday its plan to raise more than $15 billion in capital. The new capital is set to come from a mix of the sale of stock and convertible preferred shares, the source added, saying the total amount raised could rise based on the demand. However, Boeing declined to comment on Sunday. Last week, mechanists voted nearly 2-1 on rejecting Boeing's latest offer, seeking to end the strike that has halted 737 MAX production. On to sports now. Ethiopia's Yomi Keyalka broke the men's half-marathon world record on Sunday, finishing in 57 minutes and 30 seconds at the Medico Marathon de Valencia in Spain. He shaved 1 second off the previous mark that was set by Kenya's Jacob Kiplimo in Lisbon in 2021. In his premier para-badminton, athlete Sukant Kadam won gold and a silver medal at the Japan Para-Badminton International 2024. Sukant won gold medal in men's singles SL4, defeating fellow Indian shuttler Tarun 21-12, 21-10. Later, along with his partner Dinesh Rajaya, Sukant clinched silver medal in men's doubles against compatriot Umesh Vikram Kumar and Suryakant Yadav. Overall, Indian para team finished their campaign with a total of 24 medals, with 6 golds, 9 silvers and 9 bronze medals. Moving on to updates in Kabaddi now. The Tamil Talavas pushed off a fantastic heist on Sunday to clinch a tie in the dying seconds of the match against Jaipur Pink Panthers. The two sides ended the game locked on 30 each, with Sachin top scoring for the Tamil Talavas with 11 points to his name. For the Jaipur Pink Panthers, Arjun Deshwal scored 7 points and Vikesh Kandola added 6 more to the cause. The result is also the second time a game has ended in a tie in this season of Pro Kabaddi League. The Delhi Kabaddi League officially unveiled its logo and trophy on Sunday at a grand ceremony in New Delhi, attended by the President of Delhi State Kabaddi Association, Ramesh Biduri. Former Indian Kabaddi player Manjeet Chillar, who serves as the league's brand ambassador, was also present, inspiring players and fans with his passion for the sport. The unveiling marks an exciting milestone as the Delhi League prepares to bring Kabaddi to the forefront in the national capital, with the league scheduled to kick off in March 2025. Thousands gathered in London's Trafalgar Square on Sunday for the Hindu festival of Diwali, also known as the Festival of Lights. The event drew around 10,000 members of UK's Asian population, along with tourists and locals. This year marked the 23rd year of the festival, which is celebrated by Hindu faith and other Indian religions.
This celebration has not
All right, that's it in this edition of DD India News Hour. But let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those of you on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. You can download the respective QR codes on your screens. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Preeti Kaur signing off, and from all of us in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India News Hour.